The Archivists and the Liars, stories about the act of storytelling itself. The Opaline Inversion. Being the confession of Elias Crowe, Rainmaker, recorded beneath the flood. By Ruben White, Scrambled Wisdom Series. Every lie told long enough becomes a weather system. From the burnt ledgers of the Turning Point Overland Registry, 1887. 1. The Man Who Sold the Sky. Audio opens. Static. Water rising. The voice of a man recording from somewhere he did not plan to be. The water is at my collar now. My name is Elias Crowe, and I was the best rainmaker west of the Mississippi. Not because I could make rain, but because I could make you believe it was coming. In a drought, partner, belief is the only currency worth a damn. I rode into Broken Spur in the summer of 1887. The earth was cracked like old scripture. Farmers stood in their dead fields the way men stand at a grave. Not because it helps, but because it is the last thing left to do. My wagon read, Crowe's Atmospheric Adjustment CO. We negotiate with weather. The Bureau of Rain endorsement painted beneath it was even better. There is no Bureau of Rain. I invented it on a Thursday afternoon in a saloon in Reno. I sold them copper coils, silver iodide canisters, and a brass barometer mounted to a board connected to nothing at all. At midnight I lit the canisters, spoke the words, and played rain sounds from a phonograph cylinder hidden beneath the altar cloth. They wept. Of course they wept. They were thirsty. The storm knows your name. 2. The Wells Fargo Witness. The water climbs. Elias shifts. His voice drops, steadies. Agent Driscoll of the Wells Fargo Western Division tracked me to a hotel dining room in Durango. He set his badge on the table between us like a winning hand and sat down without being invited. Crowe, we know the Nevada seal was forged. We know the Bureau of Rain doesn't exist. We know the phonograph. He paused. What we don't know is how it rained. I set down my fork. For the first time in my professional career, I told a man the absolute truth. The storm did not wait for my permission. 3. The Inversion. Rain above sounds like applause. His voice takes on something between fear and wonder. On the 14th of March, 3 miles clear of Broken Spur and counting my money, it rained. Not theater. Not a phonograph cylinder. Rain like the sky had been holding its breath since Genesis and had finally found its exhale. The copper coils were fake, but arranged by accident in a pattern I'd copied from a meteorological journal I'd stolen in Denver. The canisters were dust, but discharged into air already primed by a low-pressure system moving in from the southwest. The ceremony had gathered the whole town on the one hillside that, according to surveys I'd never read, funneled moisture up from the valley below. I had done everything wrong for the right reasons. And it had worked. So you're telling me, Driscoll said slowly, that you are simultaneously guilty of fraud and responsible for ending the worst drought this county has seen in 40 years. That was a fair summary. He picked up his badge, stood, and put on his hat. I'll be in touch, Crowe. Don't go anywhere that doesn't have a weather report. 4. The cellar. The rain above is enormous. It sounds like an audience that has been waiting a very long time. I came back to Broken Spur 6 months later. The widow McKenna had sent me a letter with no words, only a pressed wildflower from a field that had been bare dirt the last time I'd seen it. The town was unrecognizable. Green. The fields were thick and worked. The cattle looked like they had opinions about their own futures again. Now I am in a cellar. I came down to retrieve something I'd stored, and a second storm, one I had absolutely nothing to do with, sealed the door with 6 inches of standing water. The rain sounds like applause. It has for 3 days. I have a recording device because I am a man who always has a recording device. And I have one thing left to say. The storm knows your name. It knows what you called it. It came. Every story is a weather event. Every lie is a seed crystal hanging in uncertain air. Every teller is a man pointing at clouds that haven't formed yet, saying, I did that. I made that. I called it down. And sometimes, God forgive the instrument, sometimes they did. Coda. Elias Crowe was never found. The town of Broken Spur recorded its wettest season in 61 years. Agent Driscoll closed the file with one notation, storm. Origin unknown. Beneficiary disputed. The phonograph cylinder recovered from the cellar was logged as evidence and later lost. Those who heard it said they expected a man's voice. Instead, it sounded like rain. Yendi, Ruben White, The Opaline Inversion, Scrambled Wisdom Series.